Hey guys, it's another weekend of European soccer, and it's another week for us to try and find some winning bets. Last week was a good week, going 3-0. We're 11-2 on the year in our European soccer betting with the simple strategy of just looking for a few simple-looking scoring props from some of the top leagues across Europe. Now, there are a ton of teams that were in action this week in the Champions League, Europa League, and the Conference League, so I'm going to be extra cautious here this weekend as we don't know which players might be resting from playing those extra games in midweek. So let's just go with two parlays from some of the top leagues. We'll start it off in the Premier League, and it's Man City and Nottingham Forest. Now, City are massive favorites here at the Etihad over Forest, and while they had midweek play in the Champions League, they beat Red Star 3-1. It was on a Tuesday, and they were at home, and they're still at home here. City are 5-0. They're undefeated. They're tops in the Premier League. They've scored 14, and they've allowed just 3 while scoring multiple goals in 4 of those 5 games. They did only draw Forest 1-1 in their last meeting last season, but that was on the road. At home, in the reverse fixture, they thumped Forest by a score of 6-0. And that is how many of Forest's road games go. They had only one road win all last year. They're an even 1-2 this year, and they just beat Chelsea 1-0 away in their last game. But Chelsea are not a top team right now. They conceded 2 and 3 goals away to Arsenal and Manchester United in their other road games. And there's little reason to think that Manchester City can't also score multiple goals at home against Forest. So let's go City over 1.5. Next, I'll move over to Serie A for the second leg of this parlay, and it's Sassuolo against Juventus. It's rare that Juve get the week off from Europe, but such is the case this year. In Serie A, they're second, and they're undefeated at 3-1-0. They've scored 9, and they conceded just 2 goals. Now, that's the fewest goals conceded in Serie A. They have the second highest XG at 7.5 and the top XGA at 2.4. Their opponents, Sassuolo, have the worst XGA at 8.2, and they're giving up some of the most shot attempts in the division at 65. That's only better than Frosinone and Lazio's 67. Sassuolo only have 1 win in 4, and that was against Verona, and they've already lost some of the top teams, better teams in the league, being Atalanta and Napoli, losing 2-0 each before an embarrassing 4-2 loss to newcomers Frosinone last week. This looks like a Juve win. Certainly Juve not to lose. So double chance on Juve to win or draw for the second leg of the parlay. In the third leg, I'm going to move over to Germany's Bundesliga, and it's Bayern Munich against Bochum. After rounding out this parlay, we'll round it out with Bayern, who are tied in first place in the division with Leverkusen, and they are hosting 13th place Bochum. Bayern, they just played Manchester United on Wednesday in the Champions League, and they won 4-3. Now, Bayern are one of the top teams in Europe, and at home, they're nearly unstoppable, especially from a scoring standpoint. In all competitions, when they're playing at home, Bayern have scored a goal in 81 of their past 82 home games. They did fail to score that one time, was earlier this year, losing 3-0 to Leipzig, but that is still a very long streak, and prior to that, they had not failed to score at home since February 9th, 2020, and that was also, oddly, to Red Bull Leipzig. They had scored also in 30 of 31 home games prior to that, so Bayern to score looks like a lock. Bochum have yet to win this season. Of their 4 games so far, 3 were at home. The 1 on the road, they lost 5-0 to Stuttgart. Bayern could do easily the same here. They won 3-0 at home and 7-0 away last year to Bochum, plus they had another 7-0 home win over Bochum the year prior. If not for the short turnaround from the Champions League, I might be looking for 3 or 4 Bayern Munich goals here, but to be safe, let's just go Bayern to score over 1.5. So it's Bayern to score at least 2, Manchester City to score at least 2, and Juventus win or draw on the double chance, and that's at minus 136 odds at Caesar. Now, before I go into parlay number 2, if you're liking this content, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel so you can get more soccer picks all year long across all the different leagues. And parlay number 2 this weekend is going to be over Saturday and Sunday, coming from the EPL and the Bundesliga. And we'll start it off with Union Berlin and Hoffenheim. This game could be good for both teams to score, or both teams to score an over 2.5 all by itself. The scores last year between the teams were 3-1 Union Berlin and 4-2 Hoffenheim, each team winning at home. Prior score lines before that, when these teams have played, have been 2-1, 2-2, 1-1, 3-1, 4-0, and 2-0 in the reverse order in the short history between these teams. Now this year, both teams are 4-0 to over 2.5 bets. Both teams have scored in all of their games. Their games have both averaged 4.0 goals per game. Bets on both teams to score have gone 4-0 in Hoffenheim's games and 3-1 in Union Berlin's games. The Union Berlin, they held on for all they could versus Real Madrid in the Champions League on Tuesday, but they conceded late to lose 1-0. But now we're back in The Bundesliga, where goals are usually flying and goals usually fly between these teams, you could probably go, like I said, both teams score over 2.5. I will just go over 1.5. And the next game will also be in the Bundesliga, and it's Bayern Leverkusen versus Heidenheim. Now, Leverkusen played to an entertaining 2-2 draw with Bayern Munich last Friday, which leaves them tied with the champs in first, but ahead on goal differential. On Thursday, they played in the Europa League action, and they beat Hacken 4-0. Leverkusen in Bundesliga, they have the most goals. They are second in XG. They have the most shots on target, and they're second in attacking third and penalty area touches. So they should create plenty of chances at home to Heidenheim this weekend. Now, Heidenheim, they have had an entertaining game themselves last week, getting their first Bundesliga win, topping Werder Bremen 4-2 at home. The newcomers, they've shown a great account of themselves so far. They're 1-2, and they're 11th. They've scored 8, they've allowed 9, but they have allowed 2 goals, 3, 2, and 2 goals in their 4 games, so they've allowed multiple goals in every game. No reason to think that Leverkusen can't do the same, so we'll go Leverkusen to score over 1.5 on their own. Now, next up, it's one of the biggest games in Europe, and it's Arsenal and Tottenham in the EPL. Now, both teams are 4-1-0 through 5 rounds of play, and they're both tied with Liverpool in second overall with 13 points behind City's division-leading 15 points. Arsenal played in the Champions League on Wednesday versus PSV, and they won 4-0. Tottenham were off, so they will be the more rested team here. Now, when these rivals meet up, it's not always both teams to score with goals coming from both sides, but there are always goals in some form. Last year, Arsenal, they won 3-1 at home and 2-0 away. The year before, Tottenham won 3-0, and Arsenal won 3-1. There's been at least 2 goals scored in each of the past 11 meetings in all competitions between these teams, and also in 19 of the past 20. Arsenal have scored 9 and only conceded 4 so far this season, but they have seen their goal breached by the likes of Forest and also Fulham, who got 2 goals against them. Tottenham have 13 goals and they've conceded 5, and they've scored multiple goals in all 5 of their games so far. However, last week they were down 1-0 to Sheffield United, and they needed 10 minutes of stoppage time to score 2 late goals and keep that streak alive by winning and scoring multiple goals. Now, in their last road game, they won 5-2, but they did allow 2 goals to Burnley. Now, I'm not sure who wins here, but I think we see at least a goal from both, or 2 goals minimum in some form. Both are top 5 in shots on target, top 3 in attacking third touches, and top 4 in penalty area touches. I'll go over 1.5 here. So it's Arsenal and Tottenham over 1.5, Union Berlin and Hoffenheim over 1.5, and Leverkusen to score at least 2 goals themselves. That's minus 121. Now, I don't often like to do lots of bets in La Liga since it seems to be a lower scoring league, but there are just some betting notes I want to touch on from that league as I was scanning through this weekend. In one of the games here, we have the highest over team, Granada. They are 4-1 to over 2.5. Their goals per match are 5.0, and they are versus the highest under team in Las Palmas at 0-5 to the over-under 2.5 totals, and they have a goals per match of just 1.0. So that's also the highest the team with the highest goals per match against the team with the lowest goals per match, as well as in over-under 2.5 bets. So it's tough to know how that one will play out. Then we have Mallorca. They're rarely good off the island, and while they did win 1-0 in Vigo last week, it's only their second road win in La Liga in 15 games. They've conceded in 13 of those games. They're playing Girona, who have scored 11 goals. That's second to only Barcelona's 13. Now, if you go back to last season, they've scored in 13 straight La Liga games at home at Vitoria de Girona. They've scored in 17 of 19 games, and the 2 times that they didn't score at home were against Atleti and Barca. So when they're playing anybody who's outside of those top teams, they usually score. This could be a Girona win or a double chance or to score in a parlay if you wanted to bet on that game. Now, if you're looking to bet on one of the biggest games this weekend with Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid, the Madrid derby went the way of Real Madrid last season. They won 2-1 on the road in La Liga, 3-1 in extra time in the Copa del Rey, and the teams drew 1-1 at the Bernabeu. So both teams to score hit in all 3, and 2 of those games were drawn after 90 minutes of play. Atleti tied 1-1 in Italy this week versus Lazio in the Champions League on Tuesday, while Real Madrid won 1-0 over Union Berlin on Wednesday, but they scored very late into that game, so that one was close all the way till the end. They will have 1 day fewer rest, and they are missing several key players to injuries. So this one, it should be close. It could be a draw, could be an under bet. Those are just some thoughts for La Liga this weekend. So that will wrap up this week's soccer betting show. I will drop the picks and the parlays into the next screen. Let me know if you agree or disagree with any of the picks, and feel free to go into the comments and let me know what you're betting, whether it's bets on these games or bets on any other games in any of the leagues this weekend. And let's hope all of our picks are winners this weekend.